My sister married my fiancé to win. She lost everything watching me succeed. The ring was on her finger the first time. I understood I'd already lost something I didn't know I was fighting for. I was standing in my parents' driveway, keys digging into my palm, when she lifted her hand to tuck her hair behind her ear. The diamond caught the porch light and flashed once, sharp and deliberate. My stomach dropped so fast my knees went weak. She noticed. Of course she did. She smiled slowly, not surprised, not embarrassed, satisfied. That smile told me everything. She hadn't taken him by accident. She hadn't stumbled into love. She'd taken him because I had him. And in that moment, before I even understood how we got there, I knew this wasn't going to end cleanly. Before all of that, before the ring and the driveway and the smile, I was 31 and doing everything right. Marketing manager at a mid-sized firm outside Boston. Long commute. Predictable paychecks. A one-bedroom apartment with thin walls and a flickering kitchen light. But it was mine and it was quiet. Daniel fit perfectly into that life on paper, consultant, confident, always, talking about growth like it was a moral value. When he proposed in a private waterfront room with candles arranged too perfectly, my hands shook when I said yes, not from joy, but from pressure. Everyone clapped. Everyone approved. My mother cried like she'd been waiting years for this moment. My sister texted congratulations within seconds. I remember staring at her message longer than necessary, unsettled by how rehearsed it felt. My sister had always treated life like a competition I never signed up for. 2 years younger, sharper, quicker to adapt. If I achieved something, she upgraded it. If I struggled, she waited. She didn't fight directly. She outmaneuvered. The first time she met Daniel, she arrived late on purpose, scanned the room, and focused on him immediately. Her posture changed. Her voice softened. She asked about his job, his future, his ambitions. She laughed just a beat too late, like she was studying him. That night, driving home, Daniel said casually that she was impressive. The word stuck in my chest. I told myself I was imagining things. I had to. Accepting the truth would have meant admitting I wasn't safe. The text started quietly. Late at night. Daniel's phone buzzing beside him while he angled the screen away. Work stuff, he said. California client. It didn't add up, but I nodded anyway. Then my sister posted a photo from a wine bar downtown. Nothing obvious. Soft lighting. Casual smile. The caption read, late nights. Big conversations. The timestamp matched. The night Daniel's phone wouldn't stop vibrating. I told myself I was paranoid. Until one night when he fell asleep and I checked his phone. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped it. His messages with her were muted. Not romantic. Just familiar. Inside jokes. Voice notes. One message stopped me cold. Don't overthink it. You deserve more than you're settling for. I didn't know who she meant. Me or him. When I confronted him, he didn't panic. He smiled and said she was asking for career advice. Career advice at midnight. I wanted to believe him because believing him meant my life didn't collapse. But then she texted me. We should talk. Just us. No emoji. No context. We met for coffee 2 days later. She didn't mention Daniel at first. She talked about me, about how stressed I looked, how marriage was a big commitment, how sometimes people outgrow relationships. Her voice was gentle, concerned. And then she said it. I think you're settling. Felt like I was watching myself drown while everyone else stayed calm. I left early. That night, Daniel didn't come home until after midnight. I found out 3 weeks before the wedding. Not from him. Not from her. From a mutual friend who couldn't carry the guilt anymore. They'd been seeing each other for months, planning, justifying it. When I confronted them, neither apologized. My sister said she hadn't planned it. Daniel said he'd followed his heart. They spoke like this was inevitable, like I was a minor inconvenience in a larger love story. My mother told me to be mature. Said I shouldn't ruin the family over a man. The wedding went on without me. I watched photos circulate online, her in white. Him smiling like he'd won something. I didn't cry that day. I went numb. I disappeared after that. Therapy, long hours at work, silence. I moved cities. Took a better job. Built a life that didn't require anyone's approval. Meanwhile, they lived loudly online. Trips, new house, perfect smiles. But cracks show when you're not looking for them. He stopped climbing professionally. She started performing happiness instead of living it. They fought about money, about image, about sacrifice. I heard bits through family gossip. I never asked. Watching from a distance was enough. 3 years later, the divorce announcement came quietly. No posts, no explanations. Just whispers. Debt, infidelity, a career that never materialized. She moved back in with our parents. I signed papers for my first home. The timing felt cruel, or poetic. I wasn't sure which. At a family gathering, she sat across from me, drained of confidence, eyes tired. She asked about my job, about my life. I answered honestly. No embellishment. No victory lap. She nodded like she was trying to understand a language she'd never learned. That night, I realized something uncomfortable. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt free. Losing Daniel had stripped away a future that would have required me to shrink. Losing my sister, in a way, forced me to stop competing in a game I never wanted. She'd married him to win, to prove she was better, smarter, more desirable. But winning a life that isn't yours is still losing. People like clean endings, justice, balance. This didn't have that. She didn't apologize. I didn't forgive her. We exist politely now, like strangers with shared memories. But I know this much. I didn't lose anything that day. I lost what would have held me back. And she lost everything chasing a version of my life that never belonged to her.
Second story started. My childhood best friend stole my life. I watched her fall while I rose. I saw her face in the news before I even clicked the link. The headline screamed, "Local business owner declared bankrupt after scandal." My chest tightened. My hands shook, and for a split second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She had spent years trying to be me, living my life, dating the men I loved, even getting the promotions I'd worked for. And now she had nothing. I leaned back in my chair, coffee forgotten, and thought, this is what happens when you try to steal someone else's life. I used to think friendship was supposed to be safe, that your best friend had your back. I was wrong. My so-called best friend didn't want to support me. She wanted to replace me. She wanted my life, my boyfriend, my career. And for years I let her. I let her slip past my boundaries, quietly, like smoke in a room. But watching her now, stripped of everything she thought she deserved, I realized that losing her was the best thing that ever happened to me. Was 29, living in Chicago, working as a junior architect at a firm I loved. I lived in a small loft downtown with my cat, Luna. I had friends, a routine, a boyfriend, and a sense of accomplishment I'd fought hard to earn. Life felt steady, predictable, and safe. My childhood best friend Claire had moved back to town a few years ago. We reconnected over coffee, over lunches, over nostalgia. She was charming, magnetic, the kind of person who made everyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. I trusted her completely. It started small, subtle. Claire always borrowed ideas for projects at work. She was ambitious, clever, but never blatant. At first, I laughed it off. She was my friend. I told myself she just wanted advice. Then she started showing up in my social circles uninvited, talking to my boyfriend more than she ever had before, remembering details I hadn't even shared with her. Little things that felt wrong. I remember one night vividly. We were all at a rooftop bar, laughing over cocktails, and she leaned into my boyfriend and said something about a dream he'd mentioned to me weeks earlier. She didn't know he had told her in confidence. Only I had shared it. I froze, my mouth went dry. My heart raced. And she noticed. That smile, the one that always seemed genuine, felt different that night, calculated, precise. It was the first time I realized she wasn't just my friend anymore. She was trying to replace me. After that rooftop night, I started noticing her everywhere. She showed up at work events I hadn't invited her to, asked questions that felt too personal, and somehow always knew details about my life I hadn't shared on social media. One Friday, I saw her messaging my boyfriend late at night. Nothing incriminating at first glance. Just friendly text. But the way she signed them, the little inside jokes that mimicked ours, it made my stomach twist. I tried to rationalize it. He was her friend too. But deep down, I felt the cold squeeze of suspicion tighten around my chest. Every time she smiled at him, every time she coincidentally wore a dress he liked, I felt my space, my identity, being chipped away, At work, Claire began shining in ways that seemed designed to overshadow me. A project I had nurtured for months was suddenly her idea during a meeting with senior architects. Her presentation was flawless, polished, and my voice in the room felt smaller. I questioned myself. Was I imagining it? Or was she deliberately taking everything I had worked for? A creeping anxiety settled over me. Every idea I shared, every client I spoke to, I found myself measuring against her, terrified of losing even more. And yet every time I confronted her, she laughed it off, brushing it away as coincidence or inspiration. I hated that I had started doubting my own instincts. Meanwhile, my boyfriend began changing too. I noticed he was more distant, texting less, smiling differently. I caught him laughing at one of Claire's jokes. One I hadn't thought he'd even notice. My heart clenched. I tried talking to him, gently probing, asking if everything was okay, if he felt the same connection we'd always had. He reassured me, yes, of course. But I felt a subtle shift in his eyes, a hesitation I couldn't name. One night, I saw a notification on his phone. A photo from Claire with a caption that was too intimate, too suggestive. My pulse raced. My hands trembled. I wanted to scream, to demand the truth, but I held myself back. I didn't want to believe that the person I loved and the friend I trusted could betray me so completely. It happened at my apartment one Thursday evening. Claire had come over to catch up, as she always said. I waited until we were alone. My voice shook when I asked her directly why she was always in my space. Always so involved with my boyfriend. Always trying to insert herself into my career. She paused, smiled, said almost softly, "I just want what's best for you." And for me, I felt my stomach twist. That smile wasn't innocent. It was a dare. That night, I lay awake listening to the hum of the city below, trying to figure out how I had let someone I trusted so completely turn into my enemy without noticing until it was too late. A month later, I discovered the texts, buried in his phone notifications while he was in the shower. At first glance, nothing alarming. But then I noticed timestamps, late-night conversations, cryptic words, messages meant to make him laugh or confide in her rather than me. One line froze me in place. "You deserve better than what you have now." My body went cold. I understood immediately. She wasn't helping, she was undermining. My mind raced. All the missed dinners, the forgotten calls, the late nights he suddenly spent working, they weren't accidents. I had been watching my own life unravel, while she pulled every string behind the scenes. I started watching them more carefully, keeping tabs without his knowledge. Every lunch, every text, every social media post became a piece of evidence in a puzzle I didn't want to see but couldn't ignore. The more I observed, the more I realized she had been manipulating everyone, my coworkers, my boyfriend, even our mutual friends, into thinking she was the good, caring one. I felt my anger mix with fear. If I confronted her now, she could gaslight me, destroy my reputation, and I'd have no proof. And yet I couldn't step back. My life, my identity, everything I'd built was at stake. Then it happened. The promotion I had been preparing for months, the one that would finally make my work feel recognized, went to her. Not because she deserved it more, but because she had subtly sabotaged my reports, missiled our manager about deadlines, and polished her version of my ideas. I remember sitting at my desk, staring at the email with my name in the CC line, heart pounding, hands shaking, thinking, I've lost everything I worked for. And she's smiling while taking it. I realized then that she didn't just want my boyfriend or my career. She wanted my life. And she was winning. It took months. But I started reclaiming control. Quietly. I documented everything, texts, emails, timesheets, screenshots, witness statements. I rebuilt professional relationships with colleagues she had manipulated, re-established boundaries with my boyfriend, and slowly, carefully, pulled the rug out from under her influence. The day she realized I had proof, the day she understood she could no longer outmaneuver me, her confident, effortless smile faltered. She confronted me, accusing me of betrayal. I told her gently, I didn't betray you. I protected myself. I protected my life. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. A year later, Claire lost everything. The promotion, the trust of our coworkers, even my boyfriend, who left once the manipulation became clear. She moved back to her hometown, jobless and humiliated. I didn't celebrate. I felt relief. I felt free. Because in the process of reclaiming my life, I realized something painful. I didn't need to win over her. I needed to survive. Life isn't about revenge or proving someone wrong. It's about keeping your own identity intact when everyone else tries to steal it. And now, every time I walk into my office, or share a laugh with friends, or feel the quiet safety of my apartment, I know I survived something that could have destroyed me completely.